frustrated or a little miffed by something. What's going on?
Yes, I was just thinking, why can't people get along better?
Wish I knew the answer to that.
And I was thinking, why doesn't God just fix that?
Ooh, why doesn't God just fix it all right now? Boy, you know, Kate, I'm glad you brought that up at the beginning of our neighborhood video today, because that is almost exactly what we're going to be talking about in the first chapter of Acts today. The disciples, well, they're asking a similar question. So I wonder, why isn't God going to just fix it all? Why doesn't God just do it the way we want it to? Shall we take a look and see what the writer has to say?
I think so.
Yeah. So this coming Sunday is going to be Ascension Sunday. We're not going to be reading the Ascension text in church, but we thought, it'd be really cool to actually talk about the Ascension text this week, as we remember, because Jesus died, and then he rose,
Yes, he did.
and then
Ascended.
ascended. So that's where we're reading from the first chapter of Acts today. So we pick up where Jesus has been hanging out with the disciples, right? And he's been appearing to them. The writer says do you remember for how many days Jesus had been appearing? 40, which is a complete number of days. And so he tells them, he's getting them ready for Pentecost. He's saying, all right, you got to stay in Jerusalem because the Holy Spirit's going to pour out on you. And then, as soon as he tells them that, the disciples ask a very similar question to what you just asked, which begins at verse 6. Do you want to read that for us, Kate?
Then they gathered around him and asked him, Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom to Israel?
God, oh Jesus, right now, are you going to fix the problem of our Roman captors? Are you going to make people get along?
Should I continue?
I think so. What does Jesus say to that?
He said to them, it is not for you to know the time or dates the Father has sent by his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth.
That is classic Jesus, isn't it? We want Jesus to do something for us, and Jesus turns it around and gives us a task. What is that task in this case that Jesus gives us?
To be witnesses.
Witnesses. Witnesses to what?
To his life, death, and resurrection.
Yeah, to what Jesus is about. And, when we were getting ready, I asked Kate, I said, so what does witnessing look like?
It's actions.
Actions. What kind of actions?
Serving others.
Ooh, serving others. And what other kinds of actions of witness?
Sharing your faith.
Sharing your faith. That's that witness as proclamation, just telling people about what God has done. But it's an action, right? That's what we're talking about, that action. So let's see what the disciples do, because I think it's a pretty good indication of what we tend to do. The disciples usually are a good show of that.
After he said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. They were looking intently up into the sky as he was going, when suddenly 2 men dressed in white stood beside them and said, Men of Galilee, they said, why do you stand here looking into the sky? This same Jesus who has been taken from you into heaven will come back in the same way you have seen him go into heaven.
So, as soon as Jesus tells them, you gotta wait for the Holy Spirit, and then you're gonna go witness, go be witnesses to my life, death, and resurrection. They go do it, right?
No.
No, they
Look up.
I like to imagine they're standing there looking, going, whoa. But they're not acting, are they?
No, they're not.
They're not acting, so what happens? What happens next? These two people appear, and they ask a question. And I think it's the same question that we're invited to answer in our lives.
Why do you stand here looking into the sky?
Why do we stand here looking into the sky going, God, when are you going to fix it all? When are you going to come back and make everything perfect? When are you going to make us get along? When are you going to make Democrats and Republicans get along? When are you going to make peace in the Middle East? When are you going to help us understand one another? And instead of staring up and asking, God, when are you going to do this? What is the question again? Why are you staring into heaven? Why are you looking at heaven? What do you think that might be inviting us to do then? Instead of looking into heaven, just staring at heaven, waiting for Jesus to fix everything right now.
It's calling us to act.
To act, to be witnesses. Just like Jesus, it's so easy. I already forgot. Jesus said, hey, you have a job to do. You have a job to witness, to live out your life with the risen Christ. And serve one another, and care for one another, and proclaim the good news, and we just tend to stare up. Maybe we should end with a question today.
So.
Where do you find yourself staring up, waiting for God to fix something? Where do you think God might be calling you to look? Not stare up into heaven, but actually look for how you are called to be a witness. With your actions, with your words, with your very being. I want to know, because I feel like that's what our calling as a church is to do, is to be those witnesses. I think that's exactly what our calling is to do. So